All right, let's jump right into this explainer on a really fantastic open source tool called CodexBar. If you're building with autonomous AI agents right now, or maybe you're just writing a ton of code using large language models, you already know that keeping track of your API limits is, well, it's a massive headache. So today, we're looking at a brilliantly designed solution that fixes exactly that by putting your AI coding limits right where you can actually see them, seamlessly sitting in your macOS menu bar. Here's our quick roadmap for the explainer today. First, we'll look at the AI provider limit problem. Then, we'll officially meet the CodexBar app. Third, we're going to peek under the hood at its data sources. Fourth, we'll check out its CLI and CI/CD automation capabilities. And finally, we'll wrap up with privacy and system permissions. So, starting us off with Section 1, the AI provider limit problem.
Picture this scenario because honestly, developers and AI engineers hit this invisible ceiling all the time. You trigger a massive autonomous task using the Codex CLI. We're talking maybe a giant refactoring job spanning dozens of files. It's humming along beautifully for a few minutes and then bam, it just stops cold. Your agent hit a rate limit midway through the job, and now you're stuck debugging an incomplete, half-refactored mess. It is literally the worst break in your flow state, and it happens simply because you didn't have visibility into your remaining quotas.
This is a perfect illustration of a much bigger workflow friction. As the quote points out, you have zero ambient signal for where you are relative to those limits. To fix it, you have to constantly break your focus. You leave your IDE, open up a web browser, log into a dashboard, authenticate, and go digging around for a usage page. And multiply that friction if you're running Claude code or Cursor at the exact same time. None of them proactively warn you before you hit the wall. You only find out when the CLI throws an error in your face. Which brings us right to Section 2, meet the CodexBar app. This app is an absolute game changer. CodexBar is a free, open-source macOS menu bar app that currently tracks over 29 different AI coding providers. So while our focus today is definitely on its robust support for OpenAI Codex, it also natively handles Claude Code, Cursor, Gemini, Copilot, OpenRouter, the whole shebang. It pulls all of them into a single, compact view right up in your menu bar. Instead of logging into half a dozen different dashboards separately, CodexBar naturally surfaces all the critical stuff right where you're already looking. You get these really clean visual progress bars for your usage windows, like your Codex session limits. You get exact reset countdowns so you know down to the minute when your tokens refresh. It shows your credit balances, little incident badges if a provider's API suddenly goes down, and even cost scans. It's totally ambient visibility, requiring zero tab switching. All right, let's get a bit technical. Section 3, under the hood, data sources. You're probably wondering, how does it magically pull all this secure data without asking for my passwords again? Well, it's incredibly clever. CodexBar reuses the credentials you already have sitting on your machine. For OpenAI Codex, it defaults to reading OAuth tokens straight from your local auth.json file, or it taps into a local CLI RPC server. For Claude, it prefers the OAuth API, but it can actually fall back to reading browser cookies or probing via a headless CLI process. The takeaway here is that it securely piggybacks on your existing sessions. No new logins required. And for deeper analytics, like figuring out your historical spend over the last month, it uses a highly secure local log scanning engine. For Codex, it actually parses native JSON line log files right on your own hard drive. It calculates your costs locally, meaning your private agent logs never, ever leave your machine. You can set that scan window anywhere from 1 to 365 days, giving you rich data with absolutely zero remote server tracking. Moving right along to Section 4, CLI and CI/CD automation. Now, this tool isn't just a pretty visual for your menu bar. You actually get two distinct ways to use it. There's the native macOS GUI we've been talking about, but every release also bundles a standalone CLI binary for both Mac and Linux. That means you can easily plug CodexBar straight into your CI/CD pipelines, or write some headless bash scripts to automatically check your provider's status programmatically before kicking off a giant build. Let's look at exactly how this changes your workflow. Say you've got a massive 80-plus file refactor coming up. You glance up at your menu bar and see, oh, your Codex session limit is 90% full, but it resets in exactly 14 minutes. Instead of launching the task now and failing halfway through, you just wait. While you wait, you notice your Claude code tile has plenty of weekly capacity left, so you start a separate code review task over there in parallel. Once that 14 minutes is up and Codex resets, boom, you queue up the heavy refactor. It's all about pacing your usage across providers to completely avoid hitting those mid-generation roadblocks.
And finally, Section 5, Privacy and System Permissions.
Look, any developer tool that touches your API keys absolutely has to earn your trust. And CodexBar is privacy first from the ground up. It stores your provider toggles and API keys locally in a hidden .codexbar config file with incredibly strict system permissions. When it needs to decrypt browser cookies for dashboard data, it strictly uses native macOS keychain policies. It only ever asks for full disk access if you explicitly opt in to reading Safari cookies. Most importantly, it never stores your actual passwords remotely, and zero usage data is sent to external servers. It's literally just you, your machine, and the official provider APIs.
Which brings us to a really interesting final thought. As AI agents take over more and more of our heavy coding workflows, and we rely on tools like Codex every single day, shouldn't our tracking tools be just as autonomous and ambient as the agents themselves? Hopefully, this explainer has you thinking about how integrated ambient visibility really is the next mandatory step for serious AI development. Thanks so much for joining me on this one. Keep building and definitely keep those limits in sight.